Hello everyone, welcome back to Next Wave America. We are delving into the Oregon Trail today, one of the most dramatic, perilous, and transforming paths in American history. This was a demanding test of survival, a narrative of hope, heartbreak, and the unrelenting search of a better life. Not only a road to the West, by the end of this film, you will see why the Oregon Trail was a defining episode in the history of America rather than merely a path. So be ready, since we are going to travel back in time to the 1800s and investigate the lethal path that molded the West. Let's establish the scene first. From Independence, Missouri, to the rich slopes of Oregon's Willamette Valley, the Oregon Trail wound more than 2,000 miles. It passed across wide plains, perilous mountains, and roaring rivers. For the pioneers who ventured on this road, it was a one-way ticket to either an early death or a fresh life. The appeal to travel west. So, why did thousands of people trek the Oregon Trail, risking everything? The answer resides in a notion known as manifest destiny. This was the conviction that expanding from coast to coast was America's God-given entitlement. The West promised territory, chances, and a fresh start. But once you get there, that was the challenging part. Reports of rich land in Oregon, economic troubles, and east congestion in the 1840s set up a migrant flood. Families packed their life into covered wagons, sold everything they possessed, and joined wagon trains headed west. Still, they were leaving behind safety, security, and certainty, not only their houses. Manifest destiny, the conceptual impetus for westward migration. Economic hardships. The prospect of free land in Oregon was tempting. However, many of people in the Panic of 1837 were in debt. Cities in the east were getting packed, and there was limited agricultural space. Reports from the west, missionaries like Marcus Whitman and explorers like Lewis and Clark returned exuberant descriptions of Oregon's moderate temperature and rich soil. Pioneers had to prepare painstakingly before starting the route, usually measuring just 10 feet in length and 4 feet in width. A wagon was smaller than most contemporary restrooms. To last the whole 4 to 6 months trip, they needed to pack adequate food, equipment, and supplies. Hosts, voiceover, included are dried fruit, bacon, coffee, and flour. They carried weapons, axes, and shovels as well. The drawback is that underpacking could result in hunger and overpacking could slow you down. It was a fragile equilibrium. The main means of mobility was the covered wagon, also referred to as a prairie schooner. Required items: food, flowers, bacon, beans, coffee, dried fruit, tools, axes, shovels, ropes, extra wagon components, weapons, protection and hunting-related rifles. Livestock, oxen could subsist on prairie grass and were stronger than horses or mules. A family may spend up to $1,000, around $30,000 now, to get ready for the trip. Trail life. Oregon trail life was far from glitzy. Imagine walking for months 15 to 20 kilometers a day. Every day, you are always on edge, continuously on motion, and subject to the elements. Not to mention the chores: cooking over a campfire, fixing wagons, and caring for animals. Pioneers encountered many difficulties. Particularly risky were rivers. Crossing them called both luck and ability. Should the wagon topple or the current be too strong, you could lose everything, or worse, your life. Important notes: daily activities. Up at dawn, travel until evening. Women cooked and looked after children. Males hunted and drove the wagons. Young children assisted with tasks including herding cattle and gathering wood. Traveling in groups offered protection and companionship in wagon trains. Key challenges were rivers like the Platte and Snake. Though mishaps were frequent, ferries and improvised rafts were used. In the mountains, pioneers encountered early snowfalls, severe heat, and thunderstorms. The lethal dangers. Let's now discuss the hazards. The Oregon Trail was lethal as much as challenging. The most common killer was disease. Typhoid, dysentery, and cholera swept rapidly in confined confines. Medical knowledge was scant and clean water was rare. Should you become sick, your odds of survival were remote. Common in nature were also accidents. Wagon wheels might crush individuals, and occasionally weapons misfired. Then there were the environmental risks: alpine blizzards, extreme heat in the deserts, and a continual threat of hunger should supplies run low. Disease, usually within hours of symptoms starting, cholera claimed thousands of lives. Bad sanitation also caused typhoid and dysentery to be rather common. Common mishaps were gunshot wounds, drownings, and wagon accidents. Starvation could result from inadequate planning or missing goods. Native American conflicts, although popular culture sometimes overdone it, tensions did develop as colonists invaded native territories. Notable sites and benchmarks. Notwithstanding the challenges, the road was lined with sites that inspired pioneers. Like road signs, sites like Independence Rock and Chimney Rock indicated they were headed in the correct direction. Many pioneers etched their names in these rocks, therefore creating an enduring record of their path. These sites were symbols of advancement rather than only physical markers. Every mile moved them toward their desire of a fresh life. A soaring spire marking the end of the plains and the beginning of the mountains. Chimney Rock, popular for pioneers to etch their names. Independence Rock was sometimes referred to as the Register of the Desert. Fort Laramie, an important resting place and resupplying base. South Pass, Rocky Mountain's entrance gateway. The Oregon Trail's legacy. The Oregon Trail had already permanently changed America by the time the Transcontinental Railroad was finished in 1869. It changed the economy, let the West be settled, and helped to define the country. But the expense was high. Along the route, many of people perished. The flood of colonists destroyed Native American towns. The Oregon Trail chronicles both tragedy and success, of aspirations fulfilled and lives lost. Effects on Native Americans included land loss, displacement, and wars like the Cayuse War. The trail promoted trade and settlement, therefore strengthening the U.S. economy. Cultural legacy. The path came to represent American tenacity and aspirations. Modern reminders. Some places today still have wagon wheel-based ruts. The Oregon Trail tested the boundaries of human endurance and resiliency. Not simply a road, it reminds us of the price of development and the sacrifices made by people who preceded us. Thus, keep in mind the pioneers who dared to dream of a better life and the road that made it feasible the next time you hear the term Westward Ho. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales from the past if you loved this thorough historical dig. Tell me in the comments as well, would you have made it across the Oregon Trail? I appreciate you seeing. Future video will see you.